Or
Yes, stay on.
okay.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Today we have a fabulous, and I mean a fabulous guest. And because I am so bad with authors' names, and you guys all know this already. You know this about me. If you guys end up watching my unboxings, I slaughter them all. So I'm going to let our fabulous guest introduce herself, and we will go from there. Take it away, Charlene.
Hi, everybody. I'm Charlene Namdhari. I'm from South Africa. Currently, it's 4 o'clock, just after 4 in the morning here. So forgive me if I make mistakes because I'm half asleep and still waking up. But it's so nice to be here. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Are you getting up? Did you go to bed at all? Or are you just did you get up at like 3:30 to do this with us?
I went to bed for an hour, but couldn't sleep because I was too nervous.
Oh.
So I was excited to be here. Yeah. So I was like really nervous to be to sleep. Put it there. I went to bed. I closed my eyes, and then like half an hour later, I'm like, no, I can't do this. I gotta get up. So I got up and I started reading a bit. Then I said, no, I can't read, and I gotta write a bit. But yeah, so I'm excited to be here.
Well,
we're excited to have you.
Yeah. We are so pumped to have you. I mean, we are so excited to talk about your book. Oh my goodness. You guys. Okay, you guys know how I am not big into what would they call it, Alicia? Contemporary kink. And this book, you guys, was amazing. I absolutely adored it. I'll let Alicia talk about it because this is kind of her bread and butter.
This is my jam.
This is her jam.
You know, we've got an age gap, we've got a love triangle, like who's she gonna end up with? And you know, I love an age gap with like a hot daddy. So the name of the book is Intoxication, and it came out about a month and a half ago. It is on Amazon, and it is also on KU if anyone does Kindle Unlimited.
Wrong one.
Yeah, I'm like looking for the cover because I have questions about this cover, like many a question on this cover. Because like, so do you get to go to the photo shoot for these covers?
Right. Like, I want to know, like,
beautiful.
Look at these abs.
And can you take a friend?
Yes. Can we come? What does his head look like?
I know, right?
So first of all, these photos were actually stock photos for the simple reason photo shoots are, quite expensive. I'm not there yet. Hopefully I will be able to get one of those top models. But yeah, it's one of the stock photos. He's a good looking guy. But the reason I went with the neck cut off is because there's two heroes in the book. Kind of like put a guy on there that you could go with whichever one you decided you liked. So that was the idea behind it.
Okay.
So you had a couple of options for the front of that cover.
Yeah. So the original photo that I chose, my editor said to me, it sucks. Straight out.
Oh.
The minute we did it, she said, no, it sucks. And then this was the second photo. We put a bit of the head, and then she says, no. And then after that, I took off the head, and she was like, that's it. That's the one. Mm-hmm. And when I saw the final cover came out with the name and so on, I was like too excited. And I was like falling in love here. And I said, it's just perfect. Two heroes. You don't know who to choose, but you've got abs to look at. So,
right. And Alicia, did you have a question about who it is?
Yeah, well, in my mind, I know. I feel like we should talk about the book a little bit before I give like who I think this is, because I feel like that might give away the end. And so this is a love triangle. So we want to be careful. Do we want to give spoilers and as to who she does end up with as one person. It does not become a menage, which, you know, I love a menage as well. So not necessarily this one, because there's a father and a son, and that was not the way I was going to go. But I do love, I just enjoyed the whole book in general. But I think that this is the first person she was with, and I think it is Drake. Because, so our main characters in this book, okay, let me back up. Sorry.
Right.
Main characters in this book. We have Sienna, or Sia, however her full name. She's young. She's kind of flirting around from job to job. She's not really sure. She doesn't really have a whole lot of direction. She wants to be a chef, but she's just gotten fired. And the opening of this book just slayed me as she's running through the airport and her shoe breaks. And of course, this beautiful gray-haired daddy is there to like pick her up and just tell her it's going to be okay. And she kisses him, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the life I want. This is the life I want. So
it was a great opener.
Yeah, the opening of this just, it really sucked me in. And then she ends up having this kind of one night stand thing with Drake. Then she finds out that he's in a bad marriage, who, by the way, his ex-wife / wife at the beginning, she's a bitch.
She is such a bitch.
Right. That girl
I really wanted to kick her ass.
So anyway, sorry, go ahead, Alicia.
No, I was saying she was horrible. Is she based on someone you know? Or did you just
hope not.
Who was the most wretched bitch? And then you like wrote this.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, Alicia.
She's like, just put me out there, why don't you?
Yes. I mean, she's
Welcome to our world.
I know. Sorry.
Right.
No, it's cool. It's cool. Not specifically anybody, but sometimes I can be nasty like that, but to specific people. But I think it was just, I think more than anything else, it was just bringing in a character that was gonna sort of, you couldn't fall in love with or you couldn't like. You sort of needed to hate her for the simple reason for the story to actually work. But I think I went a bit overboard, but it worked. I think it worked.
I think it worked really well.
It worked really well. I agree with Chris, though. These scenes were hot. They were hot. They were amazing, especially. I'm not going to spoil anything yet because we will put like a little signet up here saying spoilers. If you guys want to hop off for like 5 minutes, we can spoil some stuff and then hop back on. But here's the thing, like those scenes were awesome. The way you wrote this book was phenomenal. I mean, I really enjoyed it. And I love an age gap. I mean, for me, like cheating is always a trope that's hard for me. But since you kind of put it out there, like there will be cheating, I kind of knew that going in. So I wasn't like blindsided by it. And it wasn't even bad for me. Like that wasn't a bad thing for me. I love that you put a trigger out there for it. And I walked into it and it wasn't like, I knew what I was getting myself into and I actually really enjoyed it. So, I don't enjoy cheating, but I enjoyed this in that aspect. So, sorry.
Well, let me, can I say something? Cause the first sex scene just blew my mind. And Charlene, I'm just going to be really honest with you. And I say all of this with love. After that first scene, when you took me on the first roller coaster, I was so mad. I was like, wait, what? A year and a half later, I was like, I don't want to finish reading this book because in my head, that first scene, and I was like,
everything. It was everything.
That was, and you just wanted like more and more, and I didn't know where the story was going. So once you started taking that roller coaster back up the second hill for me to get dropped back down again, I was like, oh, I am so here for this. I am loving this. And I immediately fell in love with the characters, with the exception of the ex-wife, because she's a bitch. I want to kick her ass. But I fell so hard for the characters. And I think I picture somebody different on the cover than what Alicia picks because the end, which we won't even talk about, the end, I don't know. I feel like in my mind, that's who needs to be on the cover. And so that just, I need to know. I can't wait till we get to the Q&A part. I need to know, when is book 2 coming out? I have to have it.
So we talked a little bit about it. So here's the thing.
I'm sorry. I need to know.
Before we get into that, Charlene, did you want to talk about Chris is waiting. So wait, I'm sorry, Natasha's waiting. So actually, go ahead and answer that one.
I can hold on to that. We can talk about it. I can hold on to that, but just know that that's going to have to be the first question on the list.
It is. I just wanted to get back to the thing you said earlier about like not knowing which way she was going to go. Charlene mentioned something before we started, and I thought you would be really interested in about when she was writing the story.
Okay.
Are you talking about book 2, Carrie?
No. When you're saying you weren't sure which way it was going to go, and you went on like a emotional journey.
Yeah. So when I so for the actual book itself, it was the whole to cheat or not to cheat. That was the dilemma at first, and then I kind of like, okay, normally when you fall in love and you meet somebody, the emotions are so strong, you are going to end up either kissing them, touching them, holding them, or end up sleeping with them. And if you had to look at the relationship between Sienna and Drake, it was destined that they will end up in bed together because of the way all the small things that he did, the way he touched the house, the kitchen, it was just like leading up to it. And when I got to that scene where he says, spend the night with me, there was no, at that particular point, there was not supposed to be a sex scene, put it that way. It was just going to be, it was just supposed to be. And then I sat there and I said to myself, no, I've got to twist this up a little bit.
I'm so glad you did.
I love it. I love this. It's
and as readers, we all like angry sex. We all love angry sex, and I think it's actually the best when there's angry sex in the book. It's actually the best. So I went to that route, and then when obviously they'd done their whole deed, I was like, okay, where do we go from here? And I wasn't sure. Even that whole scene with Raiden coming to the door, that was like so last minute. It was like so unplanned. And then I just started fitting things into place. And then when I reached the end, I got to the scene with Drake and Sienna, and I was like, okay, sorry, with Angela giving the whole idea away to Raiden. I'm trying not to say the exact words.
Yeah, like
So when we got to that part, and I was like, okay, which direction do I go? Do I go with Raiden finding out and getting upset and walking out on his father, never coming back, or do I go with the route of him coming back and saying to his father, I accepted, or whichever way I looked at it, I didn't know how to end the book. So I sat for 4 days, 4 full days, trying to figure out how to end that book. And eventually an hour and a half before sending the book off to the PR company, I wrote that ending. An hour and a half.
Wow. An hour and a half?
Yeah.
That is
an hour and a half
right there.
Wow.
Yeah. And so when I put that whole ending together, it was like there was no plan to write book 2. In fact, Intoxication was just a single standalone book. There was no
ma'am.
We were not allowed.
No, ma'am.
Okay?
Nope.
Yeah, so it was supposed to be a standalone, and the direction I was going was Raiden actually leaving his father completely and having nothing to do. You get books where the one person just gets so upset and so angry. But then I said to myself, okay, so the reason I wrote when Intoxication started, it was just supposed to be a simple age gap romance.
Right.
And up until the part where they meet and they have their first one night stand, I had no idea I was going the route with the son until I finished that sex scene, and I was like, okay, how do I tip the scales here? How do I make this, give it a little bit of oomph, make it something that people are gonna say, no, you're not doing this. And that's when I decided, nope, let's put in the son. And funny enough, I had read 2 love triangles. The one included a son, but the son was sort of like a douche, he was aggressive and kind of cheated on the girl. And
Is that
so I was like,
Penelope Douglas by any chance?
yes.
Birthday Girl?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So I loved the book.
That's good.
But then I was like, oh, but it would have, for me personally, it would have just made a little bit more, I don't know, sense if the son was more involved in the relationship. And I didn't like the cheating part, of him cheating on her. I just thought it would have been more of a aggressive love triangle, put it that way.
Right.
But I mean, he sort of stepped out of the picture, so he sort of like gave room for the father and her to fall in love. So I was like, and it was funny when I was writing Intoxication, I wasn't reading any books. And then one day somebody said to me, have you read this book? And I was like, okay, let me just try it. And I started reading it. And I was like, I wonder what would happen if, if either one, the son actually slept with her, with the father, like a menage, or alternatively, if he stepped completely out of the picture, or alternatively, if he was still in the picture. And then I started reading other triangles just to sort of get an idea of what people were doing, because like I said, Intoxication wasn't supposed to be a love triangle. And every single love triangle, it was always one person was the douche, or, he wasn't nice, he wasn't a good kid, he was either cheating, abusive. And then I was like, no, I'm going to make him a sweet guy. And then at first, I had this whole long conversation with my development editor, who's my best friend and who's such a sweetie. Her name is Nikki Malan, and she's like my little, what do you call it? No, slap in the head. The slap at the back of the head. She's absolutely awesome. And she kind of steered me, and she says, are you sure you want to go that route? And I was like, yes. And she says, sometimes having a sweet guy doesn't work. And then I'm like, no. And then when I wrote the book and I sent it to her to read, and she was like, oh my F God.
Yeah. And it worked. And it worked. You wrapped it so beautifully, because we are hooked. We are like literally hooked for your next installment, which, if you want to talk about that, because Chris, I'm sorry, Natasha, my head is just somewhere else today. Natasha is waiting on pins and needles right now.
Okay, so Natasha, what do you think, or what would you say if book 2 wasn't Raiden's book?
No, but it has to be. Because the last sentence of the book.
Wait, spoiler. We can't do this.
Involves a character that I need to know, and obviously that character has history with Raiden. Look, when I first started reading Raiden, I was like, okay, I don't like this guy. He's arrogant. He called her the nanny. I was like, ooh, who are you? I mean, I was just like, what? But now it's like, I'm in the grocery store and I'm like, is your name Raiden? Can you be my Raiden?
He's our scarred hero. And like, for our scarred hero, we're waiting for something phenomenal to happen to him. So I think
that last sentence just made me want to take the seatbelt off and jump out of the roller coaster, because I just was like, I was mad. I'm thinking, okay, is there an epilogue? Let me keep.
No way.
I got to the end of the Kindle book and it wouldn't move anymore.
That's gonna hook you right there. She's hook, line, and sinker. She's got us. So,
if it's not who Natasha wants, do you feel comfortable telling us who it is?
So the hot twin daddy,
Oh,
the restaurateur.
restaurant guy. Hot dog. Okay, I wouldn't mind that. Like a detour almost.
I could be into
Okay,
that.
that's cool. That's cool, but
Then is Raiden next?
Well, Raiden's gonna be all up in that book because he's gonna be like scarred. Like he's gotta like build his story up for book 3. Like we're gonna be like, shh, I could see where you're going. I'm okay with it.
Oh,
Natasha, you're just along for the ride. It's okay.
look, I want to stay on this roller coaster for years, but I don't. The very last sentence, okay, I'm not in your head, so I can't foresee the plan, but my little reader head is like, I'm stuck right here, and I need to know about this person and Raiden.
Raiden will be in that book. Raiden.
So they say when you're writing, you go with the character that speaks to you. Because sometimes what happens if you ignore the character, you kind of lose their story, because you're so focused on. So for example, when I wrote the ending, as I said, I had no idea where I was going with the story. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to end it the way I did, and then like I said, it just came out of the blue, and I was like, no, I'm giving Raiden his own story. And I started plotting Raiden's story, but then I needed to give. So it's you gotta give a little bit more. What's the word? Sort of meat to the bones. You've got the bones. Now you got to add a little bit of meat to it, and you can't just go into a story. Boom! Oh no, this is what happened, because now the reader's gonna say, I saw that coming, or something to that effect. So,
okay,
but I'm not kidding though. Like,
well, I'm here for it. So
this is something that maybe I'm going to speak for all of your fans. I hope there's Easter eggs in number 2 that lead us to where we want to go with number 3. So.
Yes, there is. So number 2. So okay, just to put it out there, when I started the book, like I said, it was supposed to be a standalone, but now I'm going with the series title, so all the characters would get books, and the actual series is called Serendipity, which basically means it's like not seeing what's coming, sort of like you're not prepared for it. So Trent's book, and I can tell you the title as well. It's called, probably, if I tell you the title, it'll probably give you an idea of the avenue I was looking in. So it's called Incognito.
I'm gonna tell you what, you picked some awesome titles, because after I read this book, I went back and reflected on the title, and I'm thinking that is absolutely perfect, because that relationship between Sia and Drake was literally, and they were intoxicated with each other. And it's just that feeling that I think people only get, if you're lucky, once in a lifetime. And it was just, that was an awesome title. I just had to throw that in there.
I think Drake described it the best. When he's speaking to Raiden, he says to Raiden, "Have you ever been intoxicated?"
Yes.
That little description, sealed the title for me. So it was like sort of putting out, because when you say intoxicated, normally everybody assumes you're drunk.
Drunk with passion, you know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely.
And the way Drake puts it out, like even Raiden says to him, I've been there, Dad. I've been intoxicated, and he says not plus drunk, So it's his description. So Trent's book, I always wanted to write a story like this, but I never got a chance to. But so now I've applied it to Trent, and it sort of works perfectly. With the way I introduced him in Intoxication. So just to put it to you, he's a dirty, talking, sweet daddy.
Ooh. Oh, that's nice.
You've got the twins, right?
I could be down with this, yes. I thought his kids, I kind of was like, when
I'm
we first
ready for
introduced
his
kids, I was like, oh, those kids are little bastards. Like, I was so pissed at how they were so mean to her. They like did something with frogs, and they're like gonna try to torture her. And then here's, you know, Raiden being like, and the nanny. And I was like, this guy's raising a bunch of little hellions.
Yeah.
And he's flirting off to wherever.
Right.
To a restaurant. But then I got over it. I realized, you know, he's a single dad and, you know, he's got a lot going on. So I got over it. But I did like how you really introduced to those kids as, you know, not wonderful.
They needed an ass whooping.
I'm so ready for them in book 2 if that's the way it's going. I want to see
maybe they need a dirty talking sweet mommy named Natasha, and you know, I would just whoop their ass, and you know, and then trick people.
Well, you basically get to see. You basically get to see a different side of the kids as well. You get to see now both sides of the kids, and you get to see both sides of Trent. You meet Drake again. You meet Raiden again. You meet Sienna again. So I think this kind of story, I don't know if it's been written before, but I think it's gonna make some people question, where's my mind at? Sometimes I never know where my mind is. Sorry?
Okay.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, we're okay.
You know what? And I'm excited. I'm excited to see which way you're going to take it, because I mean, there's so many ways you're going to take it. I'm also excited to see past characters. Like, there's so many times where authors just don't introduce them into other stories. And something I like that some of my favorite authors incorporate characters that are in other books, because I like seeing them again. I like seeing their HEA play out in other books. I want to see what happens to them. So yeah, well done.
And that's something that a lot of the readers were like, what they wanted to see more of Drake and Sienna after they got together. You know, some of them were like, I read some of the reviews and they were like, oh, I expected to see more of Sienna and Drake, and I wanted to see their happy ever after. And the reason there was no epilogue for Drake and Sienna is simply because I had to end it the way I did with Raiden coming in as the last character, you know, to build on it. But just to put it out there, there is going to be an epilogue, but it's going to be the Princeton epilogue, you know. So when it's going to be the Princeton.
For it.
Okay.
So do you have a release date for the second book?
I'm hoping for March, but I'm not.
Wow.
Perfect. See, and I love that too, because for me, for authors to make me, I understand with COVID, you have to, like, the things are backed up, but to make me wait a full year makes me so sad. I'm like, where if you make me wait 6 months, I'm like, yes, okay, I don't have to reread it again. I know what the story's about, like, because I forget, like, I tend to forget after a year. I mean, with anything, you know.
And that's the idea. So if you had to read any of my previous books, none of my books were written with the intention of being a series. None of my books. Every single book I wrote was always just a standalone, and it was supposed to be just one single book. And then the minute a reader says, oh, they like to see this character story, and then my head starts plotting. So the first book I wrote that was a series title was Daredevil's Mistress, my very first book. That was a cowboy, Cody.
Yes.
My cowboy.
Yes. So with him, he's an arrogant alpha hole. You know, he's really, really nasty. He's really, really aggressive. And when I wrote him, and funny enough, it was my first book that I actually sent out to a publishing company, and they said to me, would you be interested in doing a sequel? And a book 2. And I was like, oh, not really. You know, I never thought about it. And then Reese's character came out, which is Reigns to Our Heart. And then I had a lot of people saying, why Reigns as in with the G and not with the, you know, as in the straps on a horse? And I was like, because he's the ruler of her heart. And it's like, oh, okay. So then I wrote that book. And then I wrote Undercover Affection. And funny enough, there was no series with that. And then readers started reading the book and they said, but they want to see Undercover Affection is twin sisters. So you've got a cop and you've got a criminal. And when I wrote the book, it was just about the cop. She's the badass cop. And she goes undercover to spy on a billionaire who she thinks is doing underhanded stuff. And then characters in the book was you meet her twin sister. And a lot of the readers said they'd like to see her book. And it was, when that came out, within 2 months, I wrote a badass, yes, Chris, criminal dark romance for the sister. Okay. So this was my first foray into the dark romance, and it really came out. It was done very well in my head. The way the story appeared and the way it came, there was a lot of twists and turns that people didn't see coming. And it was actually, had someone question me on Instagram, kept on messaging me, said, "Listen, hey, I read A Stranger's Affection, and I just want to know. I just didn't see this coming. How did you go that way? What were you thinking?" And I introduce a character and you don't see the character, and then you see the character and you go like, okay, I never expected that character to come out. So that again, I wrote it without thinking about a second book. And then I wrote, the next book was I Belong to You. That's a complete standalone. And then I wrote Holy Matrimony. My
big backlog.
Yeah, it's I've been writing I sit in my cave all the time, and my husband says to me, sometimes I forget I have a family, and I was like, yeah, do you? But so I said to him, but you'll eat food, correct? You'll sleep, correct? And he's like, yeah, but you forget. You forget. So it's like when I get caught up in the character's head, and I just wanna go with it. And then I wrote Holy Matrimony. Also, didn't intend writing a series. So Holy Matrimony released in September. People, sorry,
this September or like 2019 September?
September 2020.
Okay, a couple months ago. Yeah.
So I wrote Holy Matrimony. It released in September 2020, and then people read. So it's a girl that is getting proposed. She's about to marry somebody, and now she married a guy who sort of, because of her father, he left. So she needs a divorce. And once she contacts him, he comes back and he's like, no, I want back in. And now, it ends. So when they met the guy that she's proposed to, people said, we'd like to see his book. And I was like, but I never intended writing his book. And Nikki, my dev editor, was like, no, you have to write his book. You have to write his book. Oh my God, what a book that ended. And that's For Richer or Poorer. And that came out in October.
I know that Chris loved
that book.
And she was like, you have to read this. And then she was like, you have to read her new book that's coming out. And that was what started our
snowball
session. Everything that you are putting out there.
So Richer or Poorer is the second book of a series, I'm assuming.
Yeah. But it can be read as a complete standalone. There's no reference to the characters in the first book. You meet Brian in the first book, but he doesn't play like a mega role. He's the guy she's proposed to and she's going to get married, but it's basically he's not. Yes, thank you, Chris. So he's the major character in the second book, but like I said, complete standalone. And the reason why it was, I think Chris also enjoyed it, is it's not your typical office romance. And it's not your typical enemies to lovers. So enemies to lovers is the bigger of the two tropes. And it's like an alpha. I tell everybody, alpha hole taken on by alpha heroine, because she gives as good as she gets. And he's a bad, dirty talking billionaire. So he's like, so he's like your offer.
These are my
she,
people. These are my people. I want to know, how do you research all these sex scenes that you're writing? Because they are hot. So, like I've seen other authors talk about, how they've either gone back and, thought of other things and reenacted or watched from movies. Like, what's your inspiration for some of these, especially between Drake and Sienna in the beginning with the indecent proposal kind of, one night stand?
I think more than anything else is, and maybe you'll laugh if I say this, but it's how I want a guy to be with me.
Yes.
Yes.
You're speaking to you're speaking to like the world. Like that is definitely
exactly right.
So if I had to go into an airport terminal right now, and if I had to run into a complete stranger who's an older guy, so if I had to meet him right now, and if I am anticipating sex with him, or in my mind I'm like, okay, I want to have sex with him, that's how I would see him, have sex with me. It's not just like wham bam, thank you ma'am, or jump in. So one of the reviewers actually said in her review, she said she loved the book. She was a bit upset with certain things because she was pro-Raiden, but she actually made this statement where she said every guy should read this book to see how he should treat a woman.
Right.
Yes.
That's the state, and for me that's a huge compliment, because it's sort of saying how I see my ideal man. I think women would want to see their ideal man. And if you look at Drake from start to finish, he maintains that whole, sort of caring, lovable, even with the sex, he's potent in every single thing he does. It's not like, okay, it's a one-time scene, it was finished, but throughout, even the way he sort of manipulates her senses, sort of like whole horse scene. I mean, that's my favorite.
It's that desire that he has for her, I think as, we all want somebody to just desire us that much. And I mean, at every turn with them, it was, you could feel it through the words. And I mean, we all want that. So, I mean,
So I do have a question for you, because authors run into this all the time. Did you have to yank any scenes because either like your editor was like, no, you can't put that out there? Like, is there something you had to take back because it wouldn't fly, or they weren't okay with it, or whatever the reason it may have been?
I think the only for the entire book, there was just there was a one scene, the piano scene. I don't know if you remember it. That one scene was supposed to be a full-on sex scene.
Oh.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a full-on sex scene. And we kind of had this discussion about, I think more than anything else, it was like the feelings between Drake and Sienna were so entrenched in everybody's minds already. To just go and add another sex scene will just be like, are you putting sex for the sake of sex? So I wrote it, and then I pulled it out, because now we were into the whole, they met, they had sex, they got separated, then they met again, and then they started falling, sort of that whole do I, don't I, and then it happened. We didn't need more sex, So for me and her, we had this whole discussion, and then we decided, no, I'm taking it out. But other than that, every single scene in the book was perfectly placed, and I never took anything out. The only thing I struggled with was the end, but that was the only thing. Yeah. Other than that, there was nothing else.
Okay.
That's cool. Yeah, because I know a lot of authors struggle with that because a lot of editors are like, no, you need to yank this. It's too much for the audience or whatever. So I've seen threesomes get pulled sometimes. I've seen a lot of authors having to pull things because their editors like, this isn't going to fly. So I was just curious if that had ever happened to you before.
In other books, yes, but in Intoxication, no. It was just that one scene that I wrote, a full-on sex scene, and as I said, I just took that off. And I think more than anything else, if you read the sex scenes in my books, it's not, the sex scenes are well placed. It's not like it's put there for the sake of sex.
Right.
Because even if you read For Richer or Poorer as well, from the start to the first sex scene, it's a long, I mean, it's a slow burn, but the heat level it gets hotter with each page because the feels, the touch, and what he does to her, the way he plays with her emotions. It's sort of like a build up. And when you finally get to that sex scene, it's like, oh my God, this fits perfectly.
I'm there for it. I cannot wait to read it. I'm totally there for it.
We actually, you're going to give away 2 copies of For Richer for Poorer, right? 2 copies of that, and then we're going to give away 2 copies of Intoxication too tonight. Yay!
Correct.
So we will just scroll through the chat and pick some people. So if you're in the chat and you want a chance to win, drop an emoji, drop a question, and we'll scroll through it a little bit.
Before the end. In the next minute, I'll pick someone, or actually, if Charlene wants to pick someone, or Natasha, or Alicia.
Sherry doesn't want the responsibility.
We could each pick somebody.
Pick somebody, and you're gonna get one of the ebooks. So we'll determine how you're gonna get it, but you'll get an ebook. So I have questions that don't have anything to do with Intoxication, because I'm fascinated with how your process of, because you're putting out, so like a book every 2 months, basically, it seems like. And I'm fascinated with how do you, on a typical, you have a job, you have a family, you have kids. Where are you writing? In the middle of the night? Like when you're talking to us? Like when are you writing these books?
Yeah, so I have a full-time job. I'm the executive assistant.
You have to tell us what it is if you don't want to. You have to tell us what it is, right?
That's fine. It's people getting to know me, who I am, the person behind the name. So I'm the executive assistant for an MD of a very large international corporation. So he keeps me on my toes at times. And then I also do the events for the company. So with lockdown, we haven't been having much events. We've been having a lot of, what do you call it? The virtual events. So that has its own little dramas with connectivity and so on. So it's been on top of that. My kids are 16 and 21, boys 21, girls 16. And so I have 3 kids, the husband included.
Yeah, of course. You've got to include them. Like, they are course kids.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, he tells everybody. The funny part, he has a conversation with my son. And he says, "No, I was here first, so you take a back seat."
That's awesome.
Yeah, but with regard to the writing, I don't know. It's sort of like I get this idea into my head, and I sort of play around with a little bit of of notes of where I see the story. So, for instance, with Trent's story as well, when I wrote Intoxication, as I said, it was no serious intent. I never intended writing any of the other characters, not even Raiden. For Natasha,
break my heart.
Yeah, I never intended, and then when the book came out, when the book ended, I was like, okay, shit, I have to write Raiden's story because now and then I had somebody ask me about other characters in the book, whether we're going to see other, and then I said to myself, this is sort of like I can make it a saga, sort of like a family saga, and then start talking about all the other characters. So you'll see Tamara's story, you'll see Kira's story, you'll see.
Okay, good.
Tamara. I'm sure I said her name wrong.
Yeah. Tamara.
Tamara, I'm
Tamara.
sorry. Tamara's story, like, you know me, I'm so bad with characters' names. I'm so bad with authors' names. But yeah, I'm curious about her story. Like, she was,
yeah. I'm interested in her. I want her to be a lesbian. Like, I want a female in this one. Like, I just have a feeling about her. Am I wrong?
Yeah, and I actually think I've never done it before, writing the male on male and if female on female. I don't know if you remember the character Ravash, Sienna's cousin.
Yeah, the cousin. Yeah. He's fantastic.
Oh my God, I would love a story about him. I vote for a story about him. Like,
yeah,
I would be down with that. Like, he is adorable. I love him.
Yeah, so I'm considering.
Yes, it would be phenomenal.
maybe.
Okay, maybe. Okay. We might need a petition for that. Do we need to do like a
We can live with maybe. I think that would be a good character to see that one developed and
right.
See him with a male romance and yeah.
Is it okay, Tamara? Wait, I'm gonna say her name wrong again. She feels like to me like a very like badass character. She feels like she's like tough and gruff and like will call you out as she sees it and it's like, no, that's not gonna fly with me. I feel like for her, she might need like, I don't know, maybe a strong hero. Okay. I don't know. We'll see.
Hint, nudge, nudge. Remember Tamara's age?
She's not. Yeah, I mean she's younger.
Young hero,
younger but older, right?
She's
young
40.
Hero. So
she's over 40. Yeah. Remember?
Yeah.
So she's gonna be like a cougar.
Yes.
Yes.
Ooh, I would really enjoy a cougar story.
I know. Yeah, because I feel like, do you guys feel like you see a lot of those? Because I don't feel like I see a lot of those.
A lot of older men, younger women. There's not
the other way. So this would be really interesting to see how you write that and how it goes. I would be very fascinated.
Yes. We're all like, we're like planning. We'll plan your books for you.
Well, if you need any ideas to bounce off of, you come back on and we'll just start bouncing ideas off of you. If you ever get that right.
I'd love that. You can all give me a little hints and we'll put it in there. How's that?
Yes.
We'll put it
like putting in a romance book squad. I know Chris is in here, but include her too. And we're here just to hang out. Like they go to like some sort of live chat or something. We're here for that.
We're not going to be mad. I think Michi had a question about like the actual process of publication. So as an author who, you're not going through the traditional necessarily big publishing house and putting out thousands of paperbacks. How does it go from it's in your head to the computer to then an editor? Do you have more than one editor? Do you have like a beta reader? And then it goes directly to Amazon, right? Is that your primary source of distribution?
Yes, Kindle Unlimited. Yeah.
Perfect. And so how many revisions do you think you go through from like when the book is done to your editor? And do you let your husband read it and your kids before you're like, we're going to hit set on this one?
At least your husband, like curious.
My husband doesn't even read.
He's like, what?
My husband only knows to read one thing, a text message.
At least all our husbands are on the same page here.
Yeah, he doesn't read. He reads you give him a gun manual or IT manual, he'll read it, but reading an actual book, no. But the good thing is I bounce ideas off him and he sort of like says, do this and do that, or don't do this. And he's actually quite good at it.
Perspective.
Yeah, so we sit, and funny enough, there's quite a few ideas that he's given me for the books that I've actually used, and he's done that quite a bit. So the reading doesn't work for him, but the bouncing of ideas actually does. And my daughter has read couple of my books, and she like, yeah, so she loves. So what had actually happened was, she was reading your sweet romances, and then one day she said to me, "But mommy, your story sounds so nice. I want to read it." And I said, "Yeah, I'll read it. I'll take out the sex scenes and I'll give you to read," because I didn't. And she loved it. And then so every time I write a book, I kind of like do a edited version for her where I take off the sex scenes and I give to her to read.
Sweet.
Yeah. And she like she enjoys it.
Right.
And
I love that.
Because mommy wrote it. Like that just makes so, I mean, honestly,
It's just a way to involve the family and, still kind of get a different viewpoint from a child's perspective, or older teenager, still a child. My daughter's 25. She'll always be a child to me, but
exactly.
I really love that idea.
Right.
Yeah, it actually helps with understanding the whole love aspect and how relationships work and that sort of. I mean, and, she's very talkative in terms of asking questions, and also she's at an age where I said to her, if there's anything that you need to know, you talk to me about it, and I can guide you as much as I want, but at the end of the day, it's going to be your experiences. It all depends on what you see in the relationship and what you see in the guy, but obviously I guide her in terms of what is out there. So when she reads the book, she kind of understands that these are the types of relationships that people actually endure. Funny enough, when I was doing Intoxication, and she would like, "Are you going with the cheating thing, mommy, or not?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." And she's like, "Oh, okay, I want to read it." I said, "Yeah, sure. I'll take off the sex scenes again and I'll give it to you to read." But I kind of run the idea by her. We have this whole discussion, and then she's like, "I like that. I like that." Like she was even fighting with me because with Shen's story, I had a character's name that I previously had for that book, and she was like, "Oh, but I like that character's name. Now you're stealing his name," and that sort of thing. So we have this constant conversation. But to answer that question with regard to the number of edits, so what I do, my writing process is this way: is I'll write about 4 or 5 chapters. I go back and I do a reread, and then I'll write the next couple of chapters. I'll go back and do a read of the whole thing. I know a lot of authors say don't read, just carry on writing, but it doesn't work for me. I kind of like lose my thought process when I go further on. So then I go back and do a reread, and I think what actually happens is I edit along the way. Right. So by the time I reach the editing process, I've already edited so much as I go along. That and then I give it to my development editor. Nikki has a thorough, and she kind of reads like halfway in between, comes back, says, "Change this, don't like this, take this out." She's actually very good in guiding me, and also in telling me what works and what doesn't work. Right. And also, with the whole emotional aspect as well, she's very, very good at that as well. And she'll say to me, "No, I don't feel it." And I'm like, "What do you mean you don't feel it?" And she's like, "No, I want more feeling. Put more feeling into it." And I follow her advice, and I'll put more feeling into it. So, and then from there, I don't actually have beta readers. From there, I actually go straight to publishing. So I do have an editor. I have an editor who is a friend who will actually look at the book and say, she reads and she'll correct. She's a professional editor, but she actually does it as a favor to me as a friend. And then,
that's sweet.
Yeah, I mean, like editors do cost an arm and a legs for some, and you know what? I'm not at the stage where I can afford all the major big time editors, but I think
not yet.
We're waiting for you to get to that stage because I want audiobooks. I want some good audiobooks.
I want them, read with a South African accent. Yes.
I just want the audiobooks. I don't even care who you throw in there. I just want some good audiobooks. So then at the time, because with littles, it's so much easier to put them in my ears than it is to read it. But for your books, I will stop a minute and read what you have. So
It's funny you say that because I actually had a lot of people coming to me and asking me about whether Intoxication is going to be is an Audible book, and I was like, um, I'm not at a stage where I can afford to pay for
Right,
those because
right.
Audible, it's quite a package. So for us, especially with the whole dollar rand conversion,
Right.
it's quite a bit of money. So to get an Audible out there will cost me in the region of about 45,000 rand.
Oh my.
That's actually a car price, paying for a car. So
Right. That's expensive.
yeah. So when I'm rich and famous,
Yeah.
when I'm up there,
Right.
Yeah.
and the other thing is, a lot of people, I actually had a lot of readers saying they want to see Intoxication as a book, as a movie. It would work as a
Right.
perfect
Yes.
movie.
Yeah.
So bottom
Yeah.
line, what we're saying is we need to start buying Charlene's books so then we can get down that road of having audio
Yes.
first and then a movie, because then we'll get everything we want at that point.
Yeah, I actually had people asking me, who do I see if it were a movie, who do I see as
That was one of my
Drake?
questions. That was my question. Oh, my
So
question. Okay.
so originally I loved Chris Pine with his whole sexy gray-haired brownish kind of look. And then I was looking at what's his name? Is it Landers? Joe Landers? Can't remember his name.
I don't know. What are you playing?
The guy from Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh.
Okay.
Remember him?
Googling him right now.
So
The one that she got on the boat with, the one she fell in love with.
Yes.
Okay.
So
You have to clean up a little.
So sort of his older version looks, kind of like, not in terms of the look. I don't know what a producer will see for a character like that, but I mean, sort of like the personality.
Personality. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
it's sort of the personality. And then the other guy is the one from Grey's Anatomy. He looks so good now, the Australian actor.
are you talking about like Dr. McDreamy, that guy?
I love Grey's Anatomy. So I'm like, okay,
Which one are we talking about? There's so many hot guys on there. It's like, which one?
I'm so behind.
McSteamy? McSteamy?
I was going to say McDreamy.
No, McSteamy. Not McDreamy, McSteamy.
Team Natasha is that one, yes.
I'm looking for the picture.
Oh,
It
yeah.
has to be McSteamy.
Okay, so
I could totally see him in that role.
Who?
McSteamy. I could totally see him in Drake's role.
Is he the
try and be Raiden then?
Wait.
That would be Raiden, or would that be Drake?
No,
I think McSteamy would make a good Drake.
Drake. So who would be Raiden at that point? Because he's got to be like 20 years younger, right?
Exactly. The thing is, I never actually
brother. Like, I'm trying to think, like, age gap wise, like something a little bit younger. So I'm like, who would be not a Jonas brother, but you know what I'm saying? Like something that's
brother, a Jonas brother. What are we like?
Well, you know what I mean? Like for like the age gap of like, I'm not saying like not the look, but like the age of like having that gap.
I never actually gave it any thought in terms of the movie, but people have asked me, but I never actually thought about it because most of the time, Martin Henderson. Okay, that's him.
Okay.
That's the other idea is if you look at the characters that are like 42, 45 years of age right now, they kind of play main roles, so I can't see them in the role of a father-son relationship.
Right.
If they had to go, so they'll probably go older, like a Pierce Brosnan kind of guy, or somebody that's like older than 45 for them to play, because your guys that are that age of Drake don't have that kind of son son's age, so I haven't thought about it, honestly
Right.
speaking. But it would be lovely to see it as a movie. It
Right.
would.
And you have that age gap because it's got to be to where they don't look like the same age. They've got to look like they're age gapped through that. So yeah, I've got guys in my head right now, and the two I have, it's just they're
Just don't say Jonas Brothers no more. That's
was
just
saying, don't worry, Natasha. I wasn't saying like Jonas Brothers. Like the guy in my head does not look like a Jonas Brother, but I was just thinking for the age gap. I got you, girl.
No.
Are you not a Jonas Brothers fan?
Yeah, I like their music, but I would never put them on an historical romance cover. Let's just say that.
We need to go back to the fact that we like their music. Like, we need to go back to that.
I don't have good taste in music. I have good taste in books. Like, I can't win it all here.
We do have a few questions for you, Charlene, and then we will probably try to wrap up a little bit.
Right.
You might want to go back to bed.
Right, because it's only like 5 a.m. now.
So Victoria wants to know, as a reader, what are your favorite romance tropes?
I think I like the age gap.
Arranged marriage, any chance?
Ooh, there's only one bed.
Forced proximity.
I'm actually funny enough. I love reading non-romance books.
Okay, so is it still fiction and non-romance, or is it nonfiction?
No fiction. No,
like horror or mystery, cozy mysteries.
Stephen King is my absolute favorite.
Okay.
I absolutely. I love his books. Robin Cook. Sort of like the medical. I'm a CSI fan. I love the whole
medical thrillers.
Yes, I kind of like
writing a thriller.
I want to one day. My husband gets fed up with me because every time we watch CSI, I kind of solve the mystery before the case.
I'm like, that's what's gonna happen. I already know this. That's
exactly. Yeah,
done and done.
Yeah, so they kind of get fed up watching those kinds of movies because I'm always trying to solve the case before it reaches the end. And and I'd like to write a thriller. And my daughter wants me to write a sort of paranormal fantasy kind of thing. So I have a couple of ideas.
Yes, that is my thing. Alicia's bread and butter is that. Mine is fantasy romance. If you throw out a good fantasy romance, I am here for you, girl. I will sing its praises all up and down every coast I can find.
Yes,
but I love your contemporary.
My daughter, she says to me, "Mommy, you have a very nice paranormal." I'm like, okay, I've got to put the ideas together, so I'm busy. It's there in that little file of mine. But yeah, other than that, I on the romance side, I like a romantic comedy. Something that it tickles my fancy, makes me laugh. And I like a good alcohol. I mean, I love a good,
a brooder.
I like if my ideal sort of alpha guy would be like the guy from Richer or Poorer. That's the type of guy I like,
I'm reading that is on my list.
Thank you. Yes, that's sort of my trope in romance.
Right. Michi wanted to know if you have a favorite romance author in traditional publishing and KU.
Favorite. Oh my God, there's so many.
There's so many.
Okay, just throw out one. Okay, this isn't her favorite, but this is one she really appreciates. We'll go that way. So if you don't mention someone, then it's okay.
I'm trying to think.
We got so
I know.
Okay, so the TL Swan.
Yeah.
So a left Mile High.
So sorry.
Is it layover or is that
Takeover?
So close.
Yeah, I enjoy her books. And blah, blah, blah. Rena Kent,
Good one
Dark
too.
Romance.
Right?
I watched, by the way. So I'm not a huge fiction, historical romance, person. But I watched Bridgerton recently, the series on Netflix. Binge watched it. I watched the whole series in a day.
Yep.
I took a break from writing. My brain was fried, and I was like, "No, I'm not writing anymore." And I just took a break, and I ended up sitting and watching Bridgerton. And I watched the entire thing. I actually enjoyed it. To the point that my daughter asked me, she said,
we actually hosted all the books on our channels. So we actually did all the books and we hosted them all. So we're happy to hear that you loved it.
Yeah, I actually watched a couple of your session channels, programs.
Yay!
Sessions, what do you call them?
Oh man, they get juicy, that's for sure.
That's my nightmare right there.
Yeah, I did watch a couple of them, and I actually enjoyed it. It was a good discussion. I enjoyed Bridgerton. It's not, for me personally, I wouldn't rewatch it, but that's just me. But I enjoyed the whole. For me, it could have been. Yeah, it could have been a little bit more hotter.
Right. And here's the thing. Predictions for season 2. I'm excited to see if they are kind of like reining it in for season 1 and they're just going to like explode for season 2. I'm kind of interested to see where they're going to go with that.
I think it's
like super tame. I mean, so the books the books are a little more like closed door. So then you've got like they're actually having sex. You're like, ooh, this is scandalous,
That opening scene with the tree, that was not in the books.
That was not
I
in any books.
happy with that in the books. That was not there.
That was not in any book.
That was not in any books. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that because I was wearing my Penelope shirt tonight. So, So yeah, we big fans.
I enjoyed it. The type of romance writer that I am, I would have wanted a little bit more hotter scenes, but other than that, it was good. So would I watch it again? Would I watch season 2? Yes.
Right.
Would I watch season 1 again? No. I kind of watched it. So would I read the book? I doubt it.
Right.
Only because I've learned very recently that as a writer, I shouldn't be reading a lot for the simple reason it kind of messes with your voice, it messes with your head. So it's sort of like
because you don't even realize that you might be typing something you've already read and you're not even thinking that. Like I read over 120 books a year. I could totally start writing something thinking like, oh, this is original, but I'm like, I read 120 books a year. Good luck with that. Like
exactly. It's like in your writing process when you're putting your ideas down and then you write. So for instance, a lot of people ask me, how do you manage to write? So one of the questions I got for Intoxication is, how did I manage to write 2 heroes in the book with 2 different voices? And you could see the difference between the 2 voices. I mean, Drake was mature, dark, broody, whereas Raiden was cocky, typical 25-year-old. And a lot of people ask me, how did you manage it? So even some of the authors actually said to me they would struggle putting 2 heroes in a book. And that's why I say it's like you have to be very careful with what you're reading, and you also have to be very careful with your voices because you don't want to mix it. Apart from writing somebody else's ideas, is like you have a thought process on the way your character is going to be, and then somebody else says something completely different, and you go like, oh wait, did I just confuse that? So that's what I've learned. So what I've done is when I take a break, I watch Netflix as opposed to reading.
Okay.
So to kind
of give yourself like what is that like how you would smell something in between testing perfumes. It gives yourself like a cleanser, and then you go back at it. That's what we do for readers, like us readers, which I just started doing this because I just got Netflix, mind you. You sit there, you watch your TV show, you get your cleanser, and then you kick into the next book. And that's how you do it. So you're not like blending them all together, because then you can't gush about them. And that's what we love to do. So
Exactly.
All right, I'm gonna close my eyes and do some of our drawings, and we'll do four. And then so, if I mention your name, you can DM me, and then I'll get you the directions to get the books. And then, and if
so, if you have a comment, there's a few of you out there. Make a comment right now, so then we
drop
can
a comment. But all right, I'm gonna start.
If you don't, I'm going for Richer or Poor. I'm putting down like a 16.
I'm totally wanting that one. All right, let's see. Victoria, Victoria, Maria. So DM me, or if you don't know how to do that, you can always email or message Carrie, leave a message on the comment board.
Leave a message in the comments. We'll find you. We'll tell you where to go.
Okay. So you can. Do you want them to pick the one that they want, or are you just gonna tell them which one they're getting, Charlene?
Anything you can decide. You guys.
Okay. Let's see if they already own the one, and then see if they want the other one type thing.
Yep. Victoria's gonna DM me. Awesome. Okay, here we go. Okay, I clicked my own comment. I'm not gonna take it though. I'm not gonna take it.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna start commenting in there. I'm not gonna like, hey,
I'm not gonna take it. I'm gonna get it's Fran's Book Nook. Fran's Book Nook.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Okay.
Nook book.
Can I pick one person?
Yeah, go for it. All right.
So Melissa. She just listened. Melissa Rodriguez, you're it, because I mean you're throwing it out there. And we got to give our girl Michi something. I think Michi in the Philippines. So I think that's 4 people, right?
That's 4 right there. There we go.
There we go. Yay! I love all of you guys. Oh my goodness.
Yay.
So
I'm so excited for Michi. Michi lives in the Philippines, and she just finished law school. And she's a huge romance reader. And we had all these giveaways for all these other things, and we can never ship internationally because it's so expensive. So yay! I'm so excited for me.
We love you. We're finally getting you a book at least, girl. So, okay. So this is a special thank you to Charlene, because she is fabulous. I am probably going to bother her after I read Richer or Poorer, because I'm going to be like, dang girl, that book is phenomenal, because that is on my TBR for sure. Natasha is waiting for your second and third book. If Raiden's coming number 3,
you have a fan for life now. Your entire backlist is on my TBR. You've become an auto-buy author for me, because it usually just takes one book for me to determine if I'm hooked. And I just love your style of writing. So you're an auto-buy author for me. So I'm gonna tackle your backlist this year. And but you pump out books like Nora Roberts pumps out books. So I'm just trying to see if I can keep up.
Hey, I am okay with that, because at the end of the day, here's the thing, is when an author makes me wait a year, if I love them, I'll reread the first one to get to the second one. But if it's kind of like a whatever thing, you might not have me, and I'll move on. So if you're pumping books out every 3 months, you've got me. I'm like there. I'm or 6 months even. I'm rolling with you. So, and I get it and everything, but at the end of the day, I'm just like a year. Well,
and we know that it's early for you, and we just, you didn't get very much sleep last night, so we really just want to thank you for taking the time and coming and talking with us. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope we have another opportunity in the future, maybe to kind of get some feedback from you, learn more about you, outside of being an author. And I want to say thank you. I mean, you didn't have to do that, and thank I think your husband was off to the side. Tell him we said hello.
We're sorry that he's up at 5:15 in the morning, and he can take a nap this afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry.
Anyways, oops, sorry, Charlene, go ahead.
So the fortunate thing is it's Saturday, so it's
Mm.
kind of like relaxing. So it's not a bad thing. And anyway,
Okay.
this is my writing time is always in the morning. So I write from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. That's my sort of, yeah.
When do
11
you
Wow.
when I get
Wow.
when I like.
Okay, so she needs to go so she could write us
needs to go
those
to
books.
sleep.
Like
Yeah.
that's bottom line. Like we are taking her valuable writing time. We need Raiden. I mean, Natasha's like, I hope you're writing 2 books at once. 'Cause we're
All,
missing
all
Raiden.
I've got to say, Natasha, is once you see the cover for the second book, you're
Okay.
gonna say, "Oh my!"
Okay. Okay. I'm ready. I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm excited.
It's
I'm ready.
it's a stunning cover, so it's gonna make you curious. Put it that way.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, and I must
Nice.
say thank you, ladies, so much for having me. Like you said, Alicia, YouTube virginity cracked. um, but I'm so glad, and especially to Chris. If she hadn't pushed me, I wouldn't have done this, and I'm so glad I've done. And I mean, I've made 4 new friends, which I'm so grateful for, and all those fantastic people. I can't see the chats, so whoever you are
Yeah,
out there,
I'm trying to throw it up there for you, girl. Like I was like, oh, throw some of this up there.
but thank you so much to everybody for joining the session, and thank you so much for chatting to me and getting to know me. I really appreciate being here. And I'm looking forward to doing this again. Maybe the next time we'll have a conversation about Raiden. To
Ooh, that
Natasha.
would be phenomenal. Like, yeah,
That would
you
be
come
great.
on anytime. The offer is always welcome to you, Charlene. Anytime you want to hop on here, you are always welcome. So,
We are going to do that session where I'm gonna pick your brains for ideas, and so we will do
Okay.
something like that. There.
Heck yeah, absolutely.
heck
We
Yeah.
have
yeah.
a just be prepared. Be
Especially in
prepared.
fantasy, me and you, girl, we'll have a date. Like, no problem. You talk any magic system, we're there. Like,
I was gonna say, if you need something tame, Carrie has you. If you need some dirty ass smut, Alicia has you. If you just need
Yes.
some wild off crazy shit, hey girl, I got you.
Natasha can take care of you. Yes.
And then what is Chris's
All of it.
trope?
Chris is
she's,
all of
she's
it.
all wrapped into one.
All
She's
of
like a little bit of all of us. She's like all of us wrapped into a little cute little package.
Oh, great. But thank you so
Oh, yeah.
much, guys, for having me. I really
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Well, thanks, guys, for coming on and hanging out with us. And until next time, you guys take care of yourself, stay fabulous, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye bye. Thank you so much. Ta-da.